Hi, my name is Corey Minter, and I'm the president of Trinity Employment Specialists. And Trinity is a staffing company. We staff in both the Tulsa and Oklahoma City markets. We staff in the medical field, in customer service, in accounting and finance, and in the banking industries. And I wanted to tell you just a couple of stories. Not long ago, I had done, I've written a book about this as well, and the book is going to be out hopefully very soon. I've got several things that I'm working on to try to get that knocked out. But I also have I've spoken about this in 2 or 3 different areas, but I wanted to share with you just a couple of things that I've learned. But I wanted to share just a couple of stories with you that I thought were really interesting. I had one of my very best friends, and he is one of the top producers at his company. He is a sales engineer for some of the largest companies, including Disney, CBS, NBC. He has got some of the largest groups around. For the U.S. government, he does support for. He is one of the top level individuals around, and he manages a team outside of him. And in his company, he leads one of the most successful teams in their company's history. And there's something interesting that happened to him that I thought was worth bringing up, especially when you're trying to work out your own fears and insecurities within your career. And this was it. He had worked at an off-site location. So he worked out of his home here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but his main core office is in Austin. And so the corporate office is far away from him. He only has the opportunity to speak with them over the phone. And over time, when he didn't hear from his corporate office, he shared with me one day, and he said, when I never hear from our corporate office, I just start thinking, oh my goodness, I might be doing something wrong. Or he said he even went sometimes as far to say that he was concerned that they might actually terminate him. And he's one of the top producers in his entire company, but yet he has this fear. He leads one of the most successful teams in a huge company, but yet he has this fear. Every time he doesn't hear from his corporate office, his mind starts to wonder, well, what am I doing wrong? What could be happening here? And over time, this has really bothered him. And it doesn't matter that he knows that he's doing this, it still happens. And of course, whenever he goes back to the corporate office, and he goes there about once every other month, and he realizes, oh my gosh, they're celebrating me. Everything is fine. But he spent almost 2 months having these crazy thoughts in his head. And I really think that that's unfortunate. And I have a point later on. I have an employee who really tends to do a good job. She works really hard for us. She does she does a good job with what she does. But yet one single thing goes wrong, and I had a conversation with her yesterday, and she was just like, with this one thing that I did wrong, I'm just really concerned that you're going to fire me. And we weren't even thinking that at all. We were just thinking we needed to correct that one problem. But in her mind, for the past 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, she had thought that she was just on the chopping block and she's getting ready to be fired, and it was really bothering her, and she didn't know exactly what to do, and she was really, really scared, and all of these things went on in life. And so it got me to thinking at how so many people do this, and how many people are always fearful for something. And the fear that they experience in their head, it's just not justified. And their mind takes it in an area where it is really and truly an unjustified fear. And some people live their lives as one big false alarm, just like these two individuals did. You know, both of them have had a false alarm for a lengthy period of time, and in their mind and in their heart and in their soul and who they are really, truly concerned and moved and scared and in some cases probably terrified. And it made me think that people need to be reminded regularly that things are not nearly as bad as what your mind generally conjures them up to be. Now, of course, in any kind of situation, you know that there are certain circumstances that happen, and they do happen to people, where you do need to be concerned. But I would be willing to say that roughly about 90 to 95% of the things that people worry, have anxiety over, and all sorts of things like that, it's just not nearly as bad of a situation as what they are making it out to be in their mind. And so it reminds me a long time ago when I was I'm a father of a 7-year-old daughter, and I had the opportunity to take her to Silver Dollar City. And I'll tell you what, you should, to all the fathers out there, you should, I bet you've had this type of experience. When your kid has the opportunity to go, if you're going to a theme park, when they go from riding the kids' rides to where you can go and watch them ride the big rides, it's quite a different adventure. And as a father, you start to see that, oh my goodness, things are changing. I might be able to do some of the things that I like to do. And this is exactly where I was at. So my daughter, I know, is tall enough now to ride the big roller coaster rides rather than spend all day long in that dadgummed kiddie area riding horses and small little things that kind of bounce around. And it's great for the kids at that time in their life, but if you're a dad and you're adventurous, it'll drive you in the ground. But now, all of a sudden, I've got a daughter who is big enough to ride the big roller coaster rides. So I knew this before we went, because I knew she had grown, and I remembered how many inches it was, and I measured her, and we were good. So I went and I started using every negotiating and selling technique that I knew to talk to her about how fun it is to ride the large roller coaster rides. And the reason I needed to sell her on it is because she was literally terrified of them. And there was no way she was ever going to go ride these things. And I knew that if I did not prepare her in advance and get her ready for riding a roller coaster ride that was a big one, well, then she would get there and there would just be no chance. And she would throw a fit and it wouldn't be worth it. And it would make the entire vacation miserable if I forced her to go. So I didn't want to force her to go. I wanted to make it her idea. So I spent all of this time trying to get her ready for this. And I also kind of bribed her with a teddy bear if she did it. But I made a deal with her that she would ride, I can't remember, it was like 5 or 6 roller coaster rides with me. And she agreed to it, and we started we got there and we got in front of the first roller coaster ride, and she's like, "Daddy, I don't know that I want to do this." And you could see it in her eyes. She was scared. And when she looked up at that roller coaster, she could see how big it was, and she could see how fast it went, and she could see how far she would drop. And it just terrified her. And the reason was because she had no idea what was coming next. She didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't know exactly what she was going to experience. And so, but she toughed through it. I'm really proud of her. She got on something called the powder keg. Now, this particular roller coaster is something that starts off at 0 and goes to probably about 60 miles an hour, and I'm guessing about 2 seconds. I mean, it is really fast. And it shoots you over this thing. You feel like you're coming out of your seat. And it is one of the most intense roller coasters that you could ever go ride, or at least that I've ridden so far. It's a lot of fun. But I wish that I could show you a picture of her face before she got on there and the fear that she was experiencing because of the unknown. And then fast forward to literally a minute after she got off of the roller coaster, and it was complete and total joy. And not only that, she couldn't wait to get back on it again. And so the point that I'm trying to make here is that the stuff that goes on in our head sometimes is so amplified in the negative realm that it stops people from being able to see their potential, because they never allow themselves to get on the roller coaster ride to see whether it's good or bad. They never take the journey. They never give themselves a shot. They never throw their name in the hat at trying to move in that direction. And just like my daughter learned that day, is that these big, huge roller coasters weren't that bad. Just like the things that you're dealing with, maybe even right now, this big, huge problem or roller coaster in this scenario is probably not that bad. And most likely what you have in your head as to how it's going to work out, especially if you're thinking negatively, your scenario, it's much worse in your head than what the real scenario is. Life is not something, I think a lot of people get stuck into thinking that life happens to us. And I almost wonder if it's not completely different. Life happens for us. And all of these things that are problems that are created, they happen for us so that we can learn and move on. But the big thing and the big point that I want to make to you today is that if you're going through some huge struggle and in your mind you're starting to imagine what the scenarios are going or the outcomes might be, I want to propose to you that most likely your scenarios are much worse than what the reality is going to be. And so I hope that these stories have helped you. We've gone from a big time professional all the way up to a 7-year-old riding a roller coaster, and we all do the same things. So you got to manage your imagination, or it will start to manage you. And I hope that this has helped you in your week this week. Thank you so much. My name's Corey Mentor. Please call us at Trinity if you need anything. 918-622-2588. Thank you.